Hey everyone, before we begin, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. My name is Max, I'm 28, and about a year ago my life changed in a way I never expected. I live in Portland and work as a systems engineer, the kind of guy who enjoys quiet nights, good coffee, and solving problems that most people don't even know exist. I thought I had life figured out, until I met someone who flipped everything upside down. Her name was Harper. I met her at a tech PR mixer downtown. The moment she walked into the room, it felt like every conversation shifted in her direction. She had that energy, confident, loud, magnetic. She worked in PR, managed influencer campaigns, spent her nights at rooftop parties and gallery launches. She loved attention, loved the spotlight, loved the feeling of being surrounded by people who talked big and acted bigger. And somehow, this chaotic, glamorous person gravitated toward someone like me. Calm, steady, predictable. In the beginning, it felt like balance. She used to tell me she loved that I grounded her, that I made her feel secure, that she needed someone who wasn't constantly chasing validation. And I believed her, because back then everything felt genuine. For a while we were good, really good. Then her agency downsized and she lost her job. She spiraled fast, saying her career was her whole identity. I stepped in immediately. I helped pay her rent. I covered her digital marketing course so she could switch fields. I spent evenings helping her rewrite her portfolio and rehearse interview answers. I even turned down a relocation promotion because she said she couldn't handle more change. I thought I was doing what a partner should do. I thought we were building something long-term. But when she finally landed a new job, everything changed. Slowly at first, then all at once. The late nights returned. The constant events. The pressure to be seen and noticed. And soon the comments started. At first small. Max, you should update your wardrobe. Everyone in my industry dresses intentionally. Then sharper. People don't notice you because you don't put effort into being noticed. Then blunt. You're too comfortable. Don't you want more from life? I told myself it was stress. I told myself she didn't mean it. But I couldn't ignore how she slowly started treating me. She stopped introducing me as her boyfriend and instead said, "This is Max, he works in tech." Like my entire identity fit into one bland sentence. She kept her phone face down constantly. She left for events and came home acting like she lived in a world I didn't belong to anymore. Then came the night everything snapped. She wanted dinner at a trendy fusion restaurant in the Pearl District, the type of place where they serve things on stone slabs and every plate looks like an art project. She barely ate. She kept glancing at the door, checking the time, avoiding eye contact. I asked if something was wrong, but she brushed it off with a tight smile. When the entrees arrived, she set her fork down and looked at me like she was about to give a speech she had rehearsed. "Max, I need to be honest," she said. "It's embarrassing bringing you to things." I felt the air leave my lungs. Embarrassing? Why? She sighed, long and dramatic, like she couldn't believe I didn't already understand. Everyone I'm surrounded by is building something big. Founders, investors, creatives with influence. And you're stable, predictable. You code all day and go home. There's nothing exciting to talk about. Nothing that elevates me. The same stability she once praised had become the reason she was ashamed of me. But then she delivered the real blow. "I've been talking to someone," she said. "His name is Liam. He works at a venture capital firm. He pushes me to grow. He gets my world. I feel like we're more aligned." Something inside me shut off. Not broken, just done. "So you're leaving because he has a more impressive job title?" I asked. She didn't hesitate. "I'm choosing someone who matches my ambition. You'll always be a good guy, Max, but good isn't enough in my world." I didn't argue. I didn't list the sacrifices I had made. I didn't bring up the rent, the courses, the missed promotion, the nights helping her rebuild her confidence. Instead, I reached for my wallet, placed my half of the bill on the table, and stood up. "Okay, Harper," I said, "good luck." She looked shocked, almost offended, that I wasn't fighting for her. But the truth was simple. There was nothing left to fight for. The person I cared about wasn't the one sitting across from me anymore. I walked out into the cold Portland night, the streets buzzing with weekend noise, and for the first time in months, everything felt clear. I didn't look back. I didn't wait for her to follow. That moment was the end of us, even if she didn't realize it yet. After that night, everything in my life slowed down in a way I didn't expect. Not in a depressing way, more like the world finally stopped shaking, and I could hear my own thoughts for the first time in months. I didn't reach out to Harper. I didn't check what she posted. I didn't look for explanations or closure. I just let the silence settle around me, and strangely, it felt peaceful. A few days later, I threw myself into work. Not because I was trying to hide from what happened, but because it was the one place where I still felt solid. The same relocation promotion I had once turned down suddenly reopened after someone transferred. This time, I applied without hesitation. 2 weeks later, I got the offer. Higher salary, remote options, more responsibility, and none of it required me to pause my life for someone else's instability. For the first time in a long time, something in my world moved forward cleanly. With the new position, I moved to a different apartment, brighter, quieter, with big windows that made the whole place feel open. No reminders of her. No leftover pieces of us. Just space. Space to think. Space to rebuild. Space to breathe. I furnished it slowly and intentionally, choosing things that felt like me, not like the person she wanted me to become. I also started going to the gym more consistently. It wasn't some dramatic glow-up revenge arc. It was just a place to clear my mind. Morning runs along the river became my routine. Lifting weights in the evenings helped me sleep better. I started eating healthier, drinking more water, taking care of myself in ways I hadn't in years. My body changed, yes, but the real transformation was internal. I carried myself differently, more confident, more present, more alive. It wasn't all workouts and productivity. I forced myself to reconnect with life outside of work. I joined a local hiking group on a whim, thinking maybe it would help me get out of my head. And honestly, it helped more than anything else. These people weren't obsessed with status or success. They talked about the best trails, new coffee shops, their dogs, their bad attempts at baking, real conversations, real laughter. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I had to perform. One of the guys there, Sean, quickly became a close friend. We trained together, grabbed coffee after hikes, talked about things I'd never said out loud before. With him, nothing felt like a competition. I didn't need to be impressive. I didn't need to be ambitious enough. I just needed to be myself, and that was enough. As I settled into this new version of my life, things kept opening up. I'd always been good at coding, so I started taking freelance projects in the evenings. Small at first, bug fixes, UI tweaks, back-end tasks. But then a startup founder from a workshop contacted me about a bigger contract. It paid more than I expected. Another project followed. Then another. Before I realized it, my side income nearly matched my full-time salary. I wasn't chasing validation. I wasn't trying to prove anything. I just finally stopped shrinking myself for someone who needed to feel bigger. Dating wasn't something I planned to jump into. I needed time to build a life that felt stable without anyone else in it. But life has its own timing. I met Mia at a weekend workshop for designers and developers. She had a sketchbook in front of her and a terrible cup of conference coffee. We were paired for a group task, and within 5 minutes we were laughing about the projector that kept shutting off. She was warm, kind, easy to talk to. She didn't name-drop people she knew, didn't flex accomplishments, didn't treat conversations like a performance. She asked questions that actually mattered, what I enjoyed, what I valued, what made me feel fulfilled. Our first date wasn't a big show. No fancy restaurants, no curated outfits, no spotlight moments. We grabbed sandwiches from a deli and sat by the river. At one point she smiled and said, "I like how grounded you are. It feels real." And that simple sentence hit me harder than anything else. Real. Not impressive. Not ambitious. Just real. With her, things felt easy. No pressure. No competition. No comparisons. I could breathe. I could relax. I could exist without feeling like I had to upgrade myself to be worthy. Meanwhile, the rest of my life kept climbing upward. I ran my first half marathon. I expanded my freelance work. I booked a solo trip to Colorado and spent a week hiking trails I had always dreamed of. I was becoming the best version of myself, not loud, not flashy, just better. Harper barely crossed my mind anymore. Her name stopped stinging. The silence between us wasn't heavy or painful. It was peaceful. Proof that I had finally stepped into a life that actually fit me. But while I was building something real, a different story was unfolding on her side. The perfect world she chased, the man she replaced me with, the life she wanted so desperately to be part of. It was all beginning to fall apart. And soon, I'd hear just how badly it collapsed. It was months before I heard anything about Harper again. I didn't go looking for updates. I wasn't stalking her pages or asking mutual friends. I was busy. I had work, projects, the gym, hikes, Mia, my own life. For a while, it felt like she'd just vanished. Then one evening, I grabbed a beer with Sean after a hike, and he casually mentioned seeing someone he thought I knew. "I could be wrong," he said, "but I'm pretty sure I saw your ex downtown a while back. She didn't look great." I shrugged it off at first, but later that week, the full story started to surface. A mutual acquaintance from that old mixer crowd reached out about a side project. During the conversation, he said, "Man, I still can't believe what happened with Harper and that VC guy." I kept my voice neutral. What happened? What he told me next sounded like karma working overtime. Liam, the ambitious venture capital guy she left me for, was not what he seemed. On the surface, he played the part perfectly. Expensive car, designer clothes, big talk about deals, connections, and massive opportunities. But in reality, most of it was smoke and mirrors. His LinkedIn was padded, his portfolio was exaggerated, and his money came from debt and short bursts of commission, not from some powerful position in the industry. Apparently, not long after she left me, Harper jumped in headfirst. She started posting photos with him at fancy restaurants, conferences, and weekend trips. Her friends hyped them up as a power couple. She even left her new job to help him with some startup idea he sold her on. From the outside, it looked like she had upgraded. On the inside, things were falling apart. Liam started borrowing money from her. At first, just little things. "Can you cover the hotel? My card's acting weird. Can you put this flight on your credit? I'll pay you back when this deal closes." Then the amounts got bigger. Rent, travel, bills. He convinced her it was temporary, that soon they'd both be swimming in cash once his big deals hit. She believed him, because that was the world she wanted to live in. But deals never closed. Investors backed out, or maybe they never existed. The startup he talked about? It never launched. According to what I heard, one of her friends eventually dug into his background and found a pattern. Different city, same story. Big talk, quick charm, borrowed money, burnt bridges. When she finally confronted him, it didn't turn into some dramatic apology. He got defensive, then angry, then distant. And then he disappeared. Blocked her. Moved out. Left her with maxed out cards, late payments, and nothing to show for it except screenshots and regrets. Her job? Gone. Her savings? Gone. Her image of being part of some elite circle? Gone. The friends who once encouraged her to aim higher slowly faded too. At first they sympathized, then got tired of the drama, then stopped answering her calls. A few of them quietly turned their attention to other people who fit the image better. All of this came to me in pieces, over weeks and months. I wasn't obsessing over it, but every now and then, someone from that old life would mention a detail. She moved into a smaller place. She's taking contract gigs just to keep up. She keeps saying she picked wrong. I listened, nodded, and went back to my own life. I didn't celebrate it. I didn't gloat. But I won't lie, there was a certain justice in knowing that the world she chose over me wasn't as shiny as she thought. The first time she reached out to me was late at night. A text. A number I didn't recognize. "Hey, it's Harper. I've been thinking about you. Can we talk?" I stared at the message for a few seconds, felt nothing, and set my phone down. No anger. No longing. Just distance. I didn't answer. A couple of days later, another message came. Longer. "I'm sorry for how things ended. Liam wasn't who I thought he was. I made a mistake. You were always stable, kind, solid. I didn't appreciate that. Can we please grab coffee?" This time I read it twice, not because I was tempted, but because it felt surreal to see her use the word stable like it was a compliment now. I still didn't answer. Then came a call. Then another. Then a voicemail. In the voicemail, her voice shook as she talked about how everything had fallen apart, how Liam disappeared, how her friends weren't there for her, how she wished she had never thrown away something real. She said she missed my calm, my support, my presence. She said, "You were the one person who never wanted anything from me." And that part was true. I had just wanted us to grow together. But wanting that cost me too much once. I wasn't going to pay that price again. I blocked her number. Of course, she didn't stop there. A mutual friend reached out on her behalf, saying, she just wants closure. At least hear her out. Another one hinted that I was being cold. You were together a long time. You owe her that conversation. But the truth was, I didn't. I didn't owe her the chance to rewrite the ending just because the version she chose didn't work out. The last time I saw her was by accident. It was at a small rooftop gathering downtown for Sean's birthday. The vibe was relaxed, string lights, a simple bar, music playing low in the background. I went with Mia. We spent most of the evening talking with friends, sharing stories, laughing. I felt at ease, happy, free. At some point, I turned toward the entrance, and there she was, Harper. She looked different. Not physically, but tired, drained, like she had lived 3 years in the span of a few months. She noticed me almost instantly. Her eyes flicked to Mia, then back to me. She hesitated, then walked toward us. "Max," she said quietly. "Hey." I nodded. "Hey." Mia stood beside me, calm, steady. Harper looked at her for a moment, then back at me. "I'm not here to cause problems. I just wanted to apologize. For everything. For the restaurant. For what I said to you. For making you feel like you weren't enough." She swallowed hard. "You were more than enough. I was the one who wasn't." There was a version of me, the old me, who would have tried to comfort her, who would have felt responsible for her pain. But that version of me didn't exist anymore. "I appreciate the apology," I said, "but that chapter is closed. You made your choice. I made mine." She nodded quickly, blinking fast. I know I messed up. I let other people decide what mattered. I ignored what was right in front of me. Can we at least talk sometime? Just as people." Before I answered, Mia gently squeezed my arm. Not to influence me, just to remind me she was there. I looked at Harper and said, "I hope things get better for you. Truly. But I'm not going back to anything connected to that time in my life. I'm happy now. And I'm not reopening a door that nearly broke me." She stared at me for a moment, then whispered, "So that's it?" "Yeah," I said softly. "That's it." She walked away. Not angrily. Not dramatically. Just quietly. And for the first time, I didn't feel anything. Not anger. Not satisfaction. Just peace. She became what I once was to her. A background detail in someone else's story. Mia and I left the rooftop together. She smiled at me and said, "You handled that perfectly." And maybe for the first time in my life, I truly believed her. Because choosing myself wasn't selfish. It was survival. Harper and I never spoke again. And I kept moving forward. One decision, one step, one new beginning at a time. Thank you for staying with us. Leave a comment and let me know if you enjoyed this story.